All around the world, people are taking DNA tests to find out more about their family history. But when it comes down to doing the research after finding a few matches, that's when it can become a little bit challenging.
Yeah, so host of the PBS series Genealogy Roadshow Kenyatta D is here to share some insider tips with us. This is a really interesting subject. Good morning.
Good morning.
So you're a lot of things. You're a genealogist, you're an author, you're a lawyer, you're a DNA expert. I hear you got into all this because of an ex-boyfriend?
Yeah, so I started with his family because they were prominent African Americans in Atlanta and Philadelphia, and they had an unusual surname of Dwelly. So I thought his family was more interesting than my own family, but I found out my family was very interesting later on.
What did you find out?
Well, we kind of had some oil money that was taken away from us.
Oh,
we
wow.
had a couple marriages that were interesting, a little bit of a scandal. I can't say too much, my mother might get mad.
Oh my gosh, now I
Sounds
want to
very
know.
juicy, right? You spilled a little bit of the tea. You can't spill it all here on the show. But speaking of shows, you're the host of your own Genealogy Roadshow.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about the show, and are there any stories in particular that stood out to you?
So Genealogy Roadshow is basically like Antiques Roadshow, but for family history. We go around the country, we get interesting stories. One of my favorite stories is a woman, Gail Lukasik. Her mother, actually, Gail lives in this Chicagoland area, and her mom left New Orleans and ended up coming to the Midwest, or going to the Midwest, and she was passing for white. And
Wow.
Gail found out later in life when she retired.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's what. So you
what do you
uncover
do
stuff
with that
like
information?
Well, with Gail, she was able to find out her mom had 4 half-siblings she'd never met, and she discovered an entire branch of her family that she never knew. But her mother made her keep that secret until she
Are
died.
you ever in that position, like don't kill the messenger type of thing, like when you have to deliver some of the information, you're like, this is going to be fun.
Absolutely. But I try to do it in a way where you tell the person, you prep them. You never know what you're going to find when you start digging into your family history. I always warn people of that. So when I do express the information to them, I try to do it in a very kind of light, positive way, gentle way.
What would you say is the most surprising thing that people typically find out?
The most surprising thing is when you do DNA. Okay, so I took my first DNA test with Family Tree DNA and an mtDNA test in 2009. People do DNA all the time now. The most surprising thing you find out is a half-sibling. It is more common than people think, or what we call a non-parental event.
A non-parental event. That's very interesting language right there. So I want to ask you, you got a new book, The Family Tree Toolkit. Is this a guidebook to kind of help people out in terms of exploring genealogy?
Absolutely. So let's say you've taken a DNA test or you're just getting started. The Family Tree Toolkit takes you through the number of resources that you can use both here in the U.S. and some abroad as well. So I wrote it because I didn't have something like this when I started about 20 years ago.
Really cool. And everyone's into DNA testing now. You know,
Absolutely.
23andMe is so popular, right?
Yeah.
So what are some of the other more shocking things that people find out?
She's really into it now.
Yeah. So
This is what the juicy stuff is, right?
This is where the juicy stuff is, right? So with DNA, the challenge I caution you with it is that you're going to get matches, and that's where you find those half-siblings, those non-parental events, or those first cousins you didn't know about. And a lot of times people will come to you and say, hey, I'm your cousin, I'm your half-sibling, or someone's adopted. How do you respond to that, right?
I know, I don't even know if I would want to know. I mean,
exactly,
I guess I would,
exactly.
but
We got to,
that's
you know what we
emotional.
should do? We should have you back in and try this with some of us here. I think it'd be fun to
I think
explore.
that absolutely would be fun to do.
I love it. We could pick that up for sure. We'll continue the conversation later on about that, Kenyatta. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Yeah, really appreciate it. So if you would like to meet Kenyatta and learn more on how to research her family's history, she will be at the Newberry Library tonight at 6 p.m. You can reserve your spot at newberry.org.
Yep. And she will also be at Lake Forest Lake Bluff History Center tomorrow night. You do have to purchase a ticket to that event. And just for Jam viewers, now through Sunday, Family Tree DNA is giving you $20 off orders of $79 or more. So you can visit familytreedna.com and enter the promo code JAM20.